So is this the original engine in this bus? What engine is it? And do we think the odometer is correct on it? So I've done a little research on the inner screen, and I was on Binder Planet, and it says there's some date codes on this engine. But first, let's see what engine exactly this is. So I found, if you search, zoom in here, give you a little better picture. You see there in the top right it says V345E. So this is indeed a 345 engine, and the E is, I guess, for emissions. And then below that is the serial number of the block. I've tried to find out if that means something, and I guess from what I've read they said it doesn't really tell you much. Now there are some date codes on this engine, and one is on the exhaust manifold, and you can see that says 8/19, so that would be August 19th, and S is a date code, and according to someone on Binder Planet, S means 1971. And we'll go look at the other manifold too, on the other side. And we got a date there. There's that 8/18 I'm looking at, and again S for 1971. Now there is one more date code, and it's on the back side of the block. Very difficult to get to, but I'm going to show you. See if I can't zoom in and get you there. It's in the valley, and I can just barely read. It looks like it says 518R. I'll give you another picture to look at. You can kind of see the letter R. I think there's a plate, inspection plate right over the bell housing. Maybe we can pull that off at some point and get a better look at that number. So can we say that this is an original engine to this bus? We can't say with fair certainty that it is. However, we can say that based on the date codes on the block and the manifolds, that it's consistent with being an original engine. The VIN number on the chassis says that it's a 1971 model year. The data tag for the bus body says that the body was built in 10/71. So typically, they build a body to set on an already completed chassis. So that chassis was likely manufactured and completed within the year prior to 10/71. When we look at those date codes on the engine, what we want to see is something about what it is, because if there was a date code that was 72, 73, 74, and so on, those parts have to be manufactured before the chassis was completed, because it was a complete chassis in 1971. Also, if we had a date code of, say, 1965 or something really early, that would also raise suspicion, because typically companies that manufacture things, they don't want to do that 5 or 6 years before they're going to sell the product, because they have to put in resources and labor, which is costly, so they don't want to pay for that and keep holding that cost for 5 or 6 years until they actually sell it. They want to manufacture it, get it out the door, and get the money for it. One more thing, if this engine had been changed, typically if you get a remanufactured engine, it's not going to come with exhaust manifolds, which means you need to take those off of the old engine and put them on the new one. Depending on what the date code there was, you know, the manifolds aren't necessarily going to be reliable, because those could be original but not on an original engine if it had been changed. But again, the date code on the block is consistent. So on the odometer, the reason I ask about that is it says 82,000. Well, we don't have that extra digit, the 6th digit, to know if it's a 0 in front of that 82, if it's a 1, or possibly a 2. If I had to guess, I would say that this is originally 82,000 miles, and I'm going to go back to talking about the year. When you look at that era, the boomers were still in school. That being said, the schools were bigger, they had more kids in them, and they probably had more money to dispose of. So 10, 15 years, they might retire a bus and just say, well, we're tired of working on it, let's just go get a new one, we have the money to do it. When we got this thing registered, we did the Vermont route, we found that it was last titled in 1987 by the people that we got it from. I don't think they were the original ones to buy it from the school. I think they got it secondhand from somebody else that brought it to Florida. Again, I'm just guesstimating here, so maybe this thing was in use for about 10 years and probably only racked up 80,000 miles, and if that's the case, this could very well be the original engine. When you read about these, it talks about how strong they are, and if you maintain them and keep the oil clean in them. They said these things will last the life of the bus. So there you go. It's indeed a 345. The date codes are consistent, and I would say it's only 82,000 miles. If you think it'd be something different, put in a comment below.